Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into a different aspect of cinema, directors, genres, actors, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month we are going through a franchise. One that's near and dear to some people in this room. We're going to be talking about
We're talking about the Twilight Saga. It's taken me 4 years to finally talk about it.
Four short, brief years.
Long years. You know, I had to get through David Lynch month. What else have you put me through?
You liked Eraserhead.
Like is a strong word.
But yeah, so we're talking about the Twilight Saga, and we're going to be starting with the first film.
Gotta start at the beginning with Twilight.
Yes, and for that, we have a guest today.
We do.
Somebody who absolutely loves these films. Would say they're better than Citizen Kane.
Definitely better than Blue Velvet.
Definitely better than Blue Velvet. That's what they've said. I think they're wrong because, you know, they're secretly a huge David Lynch fan. Why don't you introduce yourself?
It's me, the cousin of the podcast, Yasmin.
That's right. She's back.
I'm back. So happy to be back.
It's like she never left.
I don't know if that's good or bad, Dean.
We'll figure that out.
She has a husband and children. She can't just live in this room for months.
Well, you know, I never sleep. I come here at night and I wait for you. Just like Edward. That's not creepy
It's a little
all.
creepy, yeah.
Okay. I really never left.
Can we just make I'm just gonna open with this. Edward is creepy AF in this movie. I don't know if he softens as the series goes on. I don't know if the books portray him in a better light, but I'm just curious if Robert Pattinson was like, I break into your room and watch you sleep.
I wouldn't kick him out.
You wouldn't kick him out.
I would not kick Robert Pattinson out.
I can see why this caused conflict in the past.
I know he's a newly engaged and a father, but I wouldn't kick him out. He's vengeance.
I see.
Yeah, you watch me sleep.
You're like, you watch me wreck a man's life, all right.
And really, you want to talk about creepy when you're constantly staring at me? I'll be doing something and there you are.
You are Becky's Edward.
I sit across from you in this podcast.
There's a point. Something happened a few weeks ago. We were talking about this episode. We were getting, ready for this month. And I'm talking about Twilight in the car. And he's like, oh, Edward, you love Edward. And, you love this tall, creepy, pale dude. So I turn and look at him as he's driving. And he goes, oh, my God. He goes, I'm the tall, weird, pale dude. I'm like, yeah, if Edward didn't walk, you wouldn't have the room to run, buddy.
He set the stage for you, Dean.
This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And just how shattered he looked when he realized that he was the tall, creepy dude. He was like, oh, no.
I'm not
it's
creepy.
Me.
You're Jack Skellington.
Hi.
You're Edward Cullen.
I'm the problem. It's me.
I have a theory about quote-unquote creepy dudes. And I think
that teenage girls love creepy dudes. Is that a thing?
Not that, but that all women, like when it comes to being like when it comes to men, okay, the only thing separating a guy from being like so amazingly like attractive versus a total creep and a stalker is whether the woman wants him.
It's whether or not he looks like Robert Pattinson.
I mean, there's that too. But,
if this was Paul Giamatti, it's being like, I watched you while you sleep, you'd be like, get the fuck out of my room.
We'd have a whole different movie here.
Yeah, we'd have Nosferatu.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Nosferatu?
You think
fantastic?
As much as you complain about Randy watching you sleep and you calling him, Nosferatu standing at the foot of your bed.
It's creepy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there's a story behind this. So, I was going to sleep and my brother came into my room, right? This is like in high school.
This is multiple stories. This happens
a lot. He comes in my room to grab something, but usually I fall asleep with like the TV on and he'll stop and be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So he'll just like stand there in my room watching whatever videos on my TV. Mm-hmm. And then I'll like wake up at like 2 a.m. like, what the fuck is this? And then I just see my 6'6" gaunt brother standing over my bed in the black silhouette of the night.
Is he shirtless?
Of course he is. And I'm like, oh God, this is...
Is his skin glistening in the moonlight?
He's very pale.
But yeah. Sounds like Dean
I haven't
has
met Randy, Edward. But the more I hear about Randy, I feel like we would get along. Like he's just weird in the right way.
I suppose. But yeah, so we're talking about Twilight today. This came out in 2008, right?
2008.
Yeah, and it's based off of the book
Best
from
year of my life.
the best year of your life, I see.
Sorry.
And this is based on
What
the
a
book,
time to
right?
be alive. Yes, based
Okay.
off the book.
All right. I've never read the book. I didn't see this when it came out. The only cultural context I have as a boy of 2008 was Twilight sucks. So I had not seen this until we did it for the podcast a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
In the cursed year of 2020.
the curse year of 2020. Wasn't a huge fan then. But I'm curious. So you two, I'm guessing, were big fans back in the day, seeing as you're both wearing Twilight shirts.
I'm wearing Becky's Twilight shirt.
My original Twilight shirt.
The original.
The original that hasn't fit in many, many moons.
Mm-hmm.
Moons. That's so fitting for this.
Right?
So should I go first?
Yeah,
or-
you're the guest. You go first.
All right. Well, I remember being like, I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and I was like the first girl to learn about the books at my
And you were in
at my
Catholic school.
I was in Catholic school, but I spent lots
And they
of time.
let the devil's word into your
They
school.
did. I mean, they didn't know.
Were you the kind of Catholic school they didn't let Harry Potter in? Was it that level of Catholic school? Or no, I'm curious.
No. It was not that strict. But I was at like an all-girls Catholic private high school.
And they didn't
Super
burn.
preppy.
And they didn't burn Harry Potter.
No, they're super like liberal, honestly. The Dominicans. But anyway, I was like kind of a bad Catholic schoolgirl a little bit. I was like living on the edge, reading Twilight, like wow, like rebellion. But basically, I came across the book on the internet, the World Wide Web. And I was like, what is this? Like romance, passion, like danger. So, of course, I like tried to scrounge some money together and I went and found it in a bookstore. And then I brought it to school because I like couldn't stop reading it. And then other girls were like, what is that? And I'm like, it's Twilight.
You became the Twilight dealer of your high school?
Basically. Yeah. And then like, it spread.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of credit here, but like that's really how it happened.
Okay, because I've never read the books, and again,
That's why when we were just at the old people bookstore, I was looking for it so we could get you a copy so you could read it.
I'm good.
You love reading.
Well,
You should give it a chance.
So you went
Take
to
a chance on
you
me.
went to like Oxford or Cambridge or whatever. Do the books still hold up as great literature, or are they like pulpy like teen romance novels? Because I don't really know what the books, how they're written, or what's the whole crux of them. I've only ever seen the movie, and Becky continually tells me the books are better.
The books are absolutely better. They are
Boom.
hands down absolutely better. Yeah. They are like bodice rippers for teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like in the best way.
They're what?
Bodice rippers.
Bodice
A
rippers?
bodice ripper, like a penny horrible. It's like pulp fiction.
Oh, okay.
You have 2
I've-
degrees, sir.
I have never heard.
What is wrong with you?
I've never. That is the most like it's a body ripper. That is the most
Bodice. Like,
Bodice.
it's like one of those romance novels that makes women like tear off their corsets because they're just like filled with passion. You know what I'm talking about.
So I
You've
grew up
seen the
really.
covers.
I grew up really poor. We didn't
No,
You
have.
grew up
did
really,
not.
really sheltered.
No.
We
watching-
didn't have corsets. All right.
No.
This isn't the 18th century
No.
Victorian
it's
age.
just an expression, I mean, okay, you're asking the wrong person in terms of like literature.
Coming from the man that used to love to use the phrase "yuck your yum."
Yeah, I don't want to
So-
yuck your yum.
Exactly.
all right?
So you
I'm
really want
trying.
to.
I'm trying not to yuck your yum. I'm trying to get an
Oh, Dean,
understanding.
you have no room to speak.
No, it's like acting like you grew up in the backwoods. You grew up in Norwalk, okay?
As backwoods of
No.
Southern
This
California.
This is getting spicy. I'm scared already.
All right. So the books, right?
hmm
So much better than the movies, or like they're you can see why people like attach themselves to these, right? Were these like directed for young girls? Is that like the whole audience for it?
I do think that the audience is like teen girls between like like teen girls between 13 and 20. Yeah.
Mhm.
13 and up.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is that this series seemed to have like universal appeal even for older women.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I don't remember the name of the woman who wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, it's E.L. James?
I think
Something
so.
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Dean knows because he's read all the 50 Shades books.
No.
He's like, I didn't get into the Twilight craze. But Christian Grey, I will stand for him.
Oh, God. That is another can of worms that I would love to explore because I have
bet you
never
would.
seen those movies.
Neither have I. I haven't read
Mm-mm.
any of it or seen any of it because it kind of freaks me out. But
I'm just so fascinated that because that was straight up like just Twilight fan fiction,
Yes,
right? That's
yeah.
like she's expressly claimed it's fan fiction.
yes, yes.
And I'm like, that was fan fiction that premiered on fucking like Valentine's Day and made like millions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because
Jesus
I think
Christ,
that
the internet
she
is
was,
an awful
like,
place.
Catching a spark from like this, she understood what was creating so much like female desire in the Twilight series, because basically this is a female fantasy of like romance and love, and I
Yeah.
think that's why it was like so popular. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But boo, Becky,
Yes.
big fan of Twilight?
A little bit.
Little bit?
It's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's just okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What brought you into the Twilight craze? What does Yasmin, handing these to you after, Catholic school?
No. I don't even know how we got on the same page with it. I don't remember.
I think we both just independently got into it, and then
We would send each other bumper stickers on Facebook. When Facebook first started, we'd send each other like Twilight stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. But no,
stickers.
this came to me in high school. So if you were a freshman, I must have been
Sophomore.
a sophomore or a junior. Well, no, I
No,
was a sophomore.
I think you were a sophomore.
I was a sophomore. Yeah. My friend was reading it in art class, and she's like, "Hey, this is really good." She's like, "Can I read you a passage?" And I'm like, I don't care.
Your
like,
friend wanted to read you a passage of a romance book in art class?
she read me the meadow scene. And I was like, wow. I'm like, this is really nice. I got to go buy this book now.
I think your friend was trying to make a pass at you.
No, she wasn't.
No.
Are you?
This is just how girls are. Like,
She's a...
we're not weird like men.
Yeah.
I see.
So-
I
Yeah.
see.
Not everything has to be like a sexual pass,
Thank you.
We can be friends.
Totally. Okay, so was
Please,
this the same friend that ruined your copy of Twilight?
No, that was somebody else. And that was a few years later.
All right. Is that going to be mentioned in this when you get to read the Riot Act as to never let people borrow your books?
It wasn't going to, but now that you mentioned it, don't let people borrow your books. I mean, I let her borrow my original copy of Twilight that I went out and bought, scrounged up money for. And the girl couldn't find something to use as a bookmark, so she marked up my book. She was like,
was that pen or pencil?
With pen.
That is
And then she folded some of the
ungodly.
pages.
She dog-eared them.
Yeah,
How dare she?
Yeah, she did. But yeah, so art class, just random passage. It stuck with me until I was able to get to Borders that weekend and bought it, and it changed my life. I read it in one night.
Wow, this is fascinating because that you are really dating this specifically because you went to Borders to get it.
Along with the
Mhm.
soundtracks and the score when they came out, I had to take the bus to go to Borders.
Wow.
Dedication.
Dedication to the craft. Okay, so to say the book was successful would be kind of an understatement,
Yes.
right? Because these were kind of the young adult heir apparent to like Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter was like the big monolith of
Mhm.
young adult like kid fiction, the movies and all that stuff. And they were like winding down when Twilight started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were picking up the pieces where they would do midnight releases.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, we have another franchise that we can go in with it. People will show up, they'll dress up, they'll buy the books. We're keeping it alive until Borders died.
I see. So
R.I.P.
again, we're doing this because like the context of how this movie became so wildly successful is very interesting. Because once we get to the actual movie, that it's got problems. But so Harry Potter's winding down. These books are super successful, and then they decide they're gonna make the movie adaptation, right? But
Yeah.
the people who are making the movie, it's like an independent studio, right? It's not like Universal or Warner Brothers or
It was
anything like
purchased
that.
by Paramount.
It was purchased by Paramount.
It was purchased by Paramount, and then I think MTV bought it, and they really wanted to change up the story, and then it got shelved. And then Summit was the one that ultimately bought it and was willing to play ball and kind of do it the way that Stephanie Meyer wanted it.
Okay, because Summit Studios is like a real small, I think they're like a Canadian film company.
I think so.
So this is basically like an indie movie.
Yeah.
Which
It feels like an indie
Mhm.
movie.
it really does.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the voiceover and like the is interesting. The effects are
Questionable.
questionable. The actors they're getting are like a lot of, you're gonna be famous in 10 years. You're gonna be in Pitch Perfect. But yeah. But let's.
You're really a Jessica stan, aren't you?
Which one's Jessica?
Anna
Pitch-
Kendrick.
Pitch Perfect.
Oh yeah. Let's go. She's funny.
She is funny.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I believe that the director of this film is Catherine Hardwicke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started reading the book, that was when they had just decided, I guess, to adapt this.
Mhm.
And there was like, it was right around when they were talking about like, okay, who's going to play Bella? Who's going to
Yeah.
play Edward? And there was like all this discussion online.
Mm-hmm. Because I guess Stephanie Meyer had a whole thing on her website about her fantasy
Mhm.
cast.
You're welcome.
Yes, Becky told me about this. Now she told me who Stephanie Meyer wanted to play Edward, but nobody else. So who else was supposed to be there? Because Edward was supposed to be who? Henry
Cavill.
Henry
Oh my
Cavill.
God.
The Man of Steel.
That would have been really something else.
All right.
But I remember there was talk. I can see her face, the actress's face.
Emily Browning.
Yes, and she would have like really suited the role.
Yeah.
Like,
That was Bella,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm,
Okay.
I mean, in terms of their look, I do like that they cast Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. I feel like they look the part when you
Mhm.
read the books. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're imagining. But also Emily Browning and Henry Cavill would have been great too.
Yeah.
Maybe too attractive, the two of them, because they're just like, whoa.
You would have been like, I don't know who to root for. My
like,
word.
what is going on? It would have been a little too bodice ripping.
Mhm.
Too much bodice ripping.
Who's gonna play Jacob? Oh, Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
1994 Antonio Banderas.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. That would have been a different movie.
Yasmin is now
But,
composing this
like,
movie in her
wait
head,
a
and she's
minute.
like, I can get behind this. Get some AI on this. You know.
We're not that far in the future.
We'll get there.
Someday
The
we'll
remake
get
of Twilight, like imagine we're going to be like in our 50s, 60s, and our kids are going to be like, we're going to go see Twilight. Like, what
Like,
do
no, we're gonna go see Twilight.
no, we're going.
Oh Lord.
But I will say that when I found out that Catherine Hardwicke was directing it, I was like really nervous because
Yeah.
the only thing, maybe, yeah, you had a similar experience. The only thing I knew her for was 13. Have you guys seen 13?
13.
With Evan Rachel Wood,
Mhm.
and then Nikki Reed, who plays Rosalie, is also in it. She's like the bad girl.
She
Like,
is.
Okay, because I knew she did the movie like Lords of Dogtown, which was like
Oh.
a Southern
Yes, yes,
California
yes.
skater movie.
Yes. So when I heard that, I was like, I think I had seen Lords of Dogtown actually, but I was like, well, that's really not what I imagined for this adaptation. Like, I really wanted a very, very romantic, fantastical, like
Mhm.
adaptation.
You were like, can we get Guillermo del Toro on this? Can we get-"
Yeah, for real.
That
That would
would've
have
been
been
really good.
magical. But so when I heard that, I was like, oh, I was kind of afraid about the aesthetic. And then I remember being in the movie theater at midnight in my like Alice Cullen, like homemade shirt.
Or
'Cause-
was that your second time? Because I mean, I took you to the midnight screening.
You took me to the midnight when we went to Universal?
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
midnight screening.
I don't know. Maybe that was for a different movie. Maybe it's for Breaking Dawn or something. But
don't
anyway,
know.
I remember sitting there and then like seeing, the Summit logo
Mhm.
and then there's the hunt scene in the beginning. And
Mhm.
then I saw that first frame of her in Arizona and I was like, oh no. Yeah, I was just very not pleased with the
Okay.
aesthetic in the beginning. Although it changes throughout the movie. Like the cinematography really
Yeah.
feels different at different points. But yeah, I was not happy with that. at all.
So movie opens, whose title comes up, and the deer running through, and you hear Bella's just Harrison Ford-esque voiceover. You are both of you like, oh no. Becky, is this an oh no when the movie starts? Like you don't like the aesthetic, or are you just like, Yasmin, it'll be fine. Just wait till Edward shows up.
Ah,
He's gonna be hot. It's gonna be fine.
I mean, the voiceover really didn't bother me. I mean, I understand why it's there. I mean, if you hadn't read the book, you kind of need some clarity about where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I understand. Didn't really do anything, to bother me. I mean, I like when we get into forks and then it feels kind of, fitting to the scene. But I was more distracted about the girl that was sitting next to Yasmin in the theater. The one that had her book that had like all the little,
The tabs.
Yeah.
the Post-it tabs.
Yes.
Yeah, she was something because she would flip through the pages. We'd be in a scene and she'd be
In the dark.
in the dark flipping through to kind of keep up, and so it was kind of hard to focus on the movie for the first time because I had this sideshow that was on the other side of Yasmin. Oh, it gets
That's
better.
Funny because I completely blocked out the memory.
No, she was so weird that she will
I
forever.
trust you. Yeah.
She will forever live in my brain.
Wow.
Because remember, she even acted out one of the scenes with her boyfriend.
Oh my god.
You remember
What?
that?
Lord, no.
Huh?
I think I had to hit you so you could see it because I was just like, what's happening?
See,
I-
now you might wonder why in the world were teenage boys so against Twilight? It's probably because we all
She
had.
wasn't a teenager. She was an adult.
Yeah.
A grown adult.
You know what? I think you're jogging my memory, actually.
She
Yeah,
had
you are.
glasses. I even
Yes,
remember
yes,
what
yes,
she
yes,
was
yes.
wearing. She
She's-
was just so like, what is happening,
Did she have
lady?
curly hair?
Yes, she
yeah,
did.
Yeah. Oh my god. I have holes in my memory since I had kids. Like my pregnancy mom brain. But that's traumatizing, actually.
So, the movie opens, right? There's a deer running through the woods. We get a nice little voiceover of Bella's like, I never knew when I die or some such like that.
I never given much thought to how I would die. Come on, if you're gonna quote the dialogue, quote the dialogue.
Fine, I'll quote the
Get it
dialogue.
right.
God. Then we find out that she is living in Arizona. Her parents are divorced, but then she's heading up to Old Forks, Washington to stay with her dad.
Her
Mhm.
stepdad is a
Baseball
semi-professional baseball player. Her
Mhm.
Is
mom,
that in the book?
yeah,
Okay.
it's in the book.
I don't remember that.
Were you like, that's oddly specific?
Yeah, it is very specific. I just don't. It's been a while, you guys. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
I've lived a few lives since 2008.
You,
but
you
yeah.
made like
She has.
2 of them.
I've made 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
it's okay. So her mom and her stepdad want to travel because he's a baseball player. So she's gonna go live with her dad in Forks, where she hates the cold, the wet.
She hates Washington.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just not her scene.
Just not her scene. I do like when she goes up to Washington and we get to meet the actual best characters of this movie, Charlie and Billy, her dad and her dad's best friend.
Dean is such a Charlie stan. It's not even funny.
Absolutely.
He's held on to this since the first time he saw it. in 2020.
100%.
Wow.
He has the funniest jokes in the movie. He has the best performances. I love the scene where she comes in and she's like, hey, Edward's here and he wants to meet you, and he's cleaning a shotgun. He's like, all right, bring him in. I love that bit. It's great. I honestly, I hope he has a whole arc throughout this saga. I hope he becomes the main character eventually.
The main character.
I want to see his reaction in Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yes.
If Charlie dies,
Have
I
you
fucking
not?
walk.
So what have you seen?
Just
This movie.
Oh my god.
I've
So-
never seen any of them. My
So
mom and
you're
my
in for
sister
a
were
wild
super.
ride.
God, my mom and my sister were super into these because I think my sister was right in the right era for this to be like really popular for her. And like my mom would read anything my sister gave her, so they went to the movies and saw all that stuff. But I didn't care. I was like a 15-year-old boy. Why the fuck would I care about Twilight? I was busy rewatching Predator for the 400th time.
Of course.
So like,
Also, his sister
You
is
know.
very jealous that she's not guesting on this.
Oh.
But I'm like, this is our journey. We started this.
It kind of is our
Yeah.
journey.
it's
Sorry.
your guys'
Beth?
thing.
Is
It's
her
our
name Beth?
history.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Beth.
Sorry, Bets.
But yeah, so like I've never seen any of these, so going into this, I legit thought this was just going to be kind of like it's the first movie of a franchise that they never thought was going to be a franchise. It's going to be like whatever and kind of bad. And I was like, man, when Charlie and Billy start doing the shadow boxing thing in the street, Billy's rolling around in the fucking wheelchair, and I'm like, I love this. These 2 guys are great. Why can't I have a whole movie with these 2 guys fighting crime?
You have a Charlie. His name is Dad.
Yeah, basically.
Your dad, he even has the same mustache.
He does.
Oh,
Accurate.
wow.
No joke, when my dad was like younger, by younger I mean skinnier, he looked like Charlie in this movie. Yeah. It was very funny.
Interesting.
See,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
He did not have a wheelchair-bound Native American friend that also somehow was able to drive a truck without the use of his legs. Impressive by that.
I mean, there are modifications for disabilities in cars.
Did you see that pickup truck? That did not have any modifications. It probably had a stick.
You could totally modify that.
Yeah, aren't they like into mechanics anyway?
Yeah, you know, him and
he
Jacob, they
rigged
build
his,
things. Yeah.
truck for his needs.
That's what you
See,
say.
you haven't even gotten to New Moon yet. When New Moon, there's lots of, there's lots of shop talk in it.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Yeah.
And one of the best lines in the saga.
We're
ever.
not. Are you gonna?
I will do it for the
next episode. Yeah,
for the next one.
don't drop.
I can't
drop
do it now.
that bomb now.
All right. Well, we're in the first Twilight movie. So she shows up. Her dad gives a pickup truck to her, right?
Yeah, as a homecoming gift.
Okay.
Because she needs a car.
Of course. But this is where the movie starts becoming.
I mean, you kind of also forgot that Jacob's in that scene, so you kind of have to intro him.
Oh, sorry. I tried to phase out the awful wig that Taylor Lautner has to wear in this movie.
And like I was telling him in the car, I'm like, this saga has seen a lot of bad wigs.
For real.
Yeah.
It's a shame too because I think Taylor Lautner is one of the better actors in this movie.
Yeah.
And
In this
he was
one,
like,
yes.
they did him dirty.
And they tried to boot him out for the sequels.
Rude.
Yeah, they were like, Jacob, he's, much bigger physical wise in the next, in the rest of the movies. And they're like, you're kind of small and scrawny. And he was like,
Shark Boy took that personally.
yeah, Shark Boy's like, bet. He
And
showed
like,
up and he's
I don't
bulked
take that
up.
personally.
Ripped.
Yeah. He's like, what? You want to replace me now? They're like, okay.
He's over here
sorry.
being like, I'm a legitimate like 3rd degree Taekwondo black belt,
he's
right?
an athlete.
Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'll just hit the Torina ball and hit the gym. Like, I'll beef up. It's fine.
I'll be eating chicken like every 5 minutes. Both.
But like,
Steak and eggs.
I will agree that Taylor Lautner is one of the better actors in this movie.
He strikes the right tone, I think.
Mhm.
Well, he's the only one that I feel has chemistry with Kristen Stewart in a lot of her scenes, because once we get to the high school and her friends, my word, they are in a different fucking movie.
And I mean, it also goes to the books too, where Bella and Jacob, they have a lot of chemistry. So it's kind of nice to see that transition too, where it's like, oh, you could totally believe they're best friends.
The trouble is that the trouble I find with this adaptation is that I feel like it does rely a lot on you having read the books.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, it's kind of like, okay, especially I feel like there's not enough substance around like Bella and Edward's relationship, right? You're just like, what this? We'll get into that later. That's a whole.
We're getting into it.
That was an issue we had when we recorded this for the first time, because Dean's like, they're just, rushing into this. And it's like, no, in the books, this is, months.
Yeah.
That it takes them to even just have a conversation.
Right. Which is really important because there has to be in the book, you feel like there's all of this tension building over time.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, it's like, you're kind of like, what the heck? Why are you guys, where is this tension coming from?
Mm-hmm.
It's over nothing. It's very awkward. I don't know. I feel that way.
I mean, it's also the thing where like the relationships in the movie are just very like awkward is a good word for it, because as soon as Bella shows up to school, like everyone just starts like gravitating around her, like she's
that's in the books though.
Is that in the books?
That is, because Forks is this small town, and these high school kids, they've gone to school with each other since elementary school, so it's this kind of rarity that there's a new person there. And that's why the guys are all like, she's supposed to be this ordinary chick, but because she's brand new, I gotta talk to her first. I gotta see if I can maybe, get her to be my friend or go on a date with me.
Okay, because like, I don't know how Bella's described in the books, but like ordinary, right?
I remember them specifically using the word homely in the books.
Yeah.
Which like she's not supposed to be like particularly physically attractive. Like she's a very ordinary girl, very mundane. And yeah, the idea, right, is that like there's like 3,000 people in this entire town. But you don't sense that. I feel like in the movie you think, oh, all these guys are around her because they think she's very pretty.
Yeah.
How they act around her is very like who's the one blonde dude.
Oh, the
Mike-
one that called you in the car, Mike
yeah,
Newton.
Yeah, Mike
Mike
Newton.
Newton.
Absolute savagery. He's like, hey Bella, like, you wanna like go to prom or whatever. Like, all the guys in this definitely act like they got like the hots for Bella.
Yeah.
To the point where they're ignoring the other girls in the friend
That's
group.
in the books.
Right.
I just find that so like odd. Like, even all the girls in the friend group are also like, Bella, what should I do? And she's like, you should stand up and you should tell him you want to go to prom. Be your own independent woman. And they're like, God, Bella, you're so smart and beautiful. Man, you're wonderful. It's very weird how attaching they are to her.
Yeah, it is very contrived. And that's a issue that I have, actually, is that she is kind of the worst.
Bella? Yeah.
Yeah, she's the worst. Like, she's a bad friend. She doesn't give a shit about anybody else. When they go prom dress shopping, she's like, oh yeah, it's like everything looks great. Actually, I just want to go to this bookstore. And it's like, nobody's like, wow, why are you so narcissistic and selfish? It's just like, oh, okay, like whatever. Like, she's a shitty friend.
Yeah.
And doesn't have a lot of charisma. That's why, I don't know, I just felt like, oh, okay, small town, people are gravitating towards her, but also she's attractive. Like, she's physically attractive. So is that it? I don't know. Because in the book, she's not.
No.
So I don't know if it's just female fantasy being like.
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's something that's like I get it. Like, I'm assuming in the book she's meant to be a very like easy self-insert, right? Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't, I'm assuming like the characterization she has is still similar as what's in the movie, as she's very, maybe not blank, but very like even. Like, there's not a lot of edges on the Bella character. She's very just relatable.
Yeah.
I'm just a teenage girl that wants to hang out in my room and like
Read a book.
read a book.
Mm-hmm.
You have any other interests there,
Yeah.
Bella? Anything?
It's because, exactly. Self-insert. It's you.
It's me.
It's you, Dean, with a questionable wig on.
No,
Like,
my questionable
Edward.
wigs. So she gets introduced into the ecosystem that is a Washington high school,
Forks High School.
Forks High School, and this is where we first get to see the Cullens. Now, I assume the idea for the Cullens is to not raise any bells and whistles, stay underneath it all, right? Not draw attention. Why is it that when they all walk in, they look like they're wearing their best designer cult gear, except Edward? Edward is the only one that
He's
looks...
the black sheep of the family.
And he's the only one who's just like, guys, like, jeans, long sleeve t-shirt. You don't need the full white button up with the matching vest, my guy.
And again, that's in the books.
That's in the books too.
It is, because Alice is the fashionista. So she's like, here's your outfit. I bought you new clothes. I did this. I did that. And Edward's just like, no.
He's
Female
like,
fantasy.
jeans and a t-shirt. Like,
Yeah.
guys, I'm we are ancient vampires, all right, trying to like blend in. Calm the fuck down, lady. But yeah, so we get to meet them for the first time.
Yeah, they don't look like teenagers at all.
No.
Like the other actors do, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's intentional. They're supposed to be like larger than life, not of that era.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just supposed to take the leap of faith, if you will. In terms of, blending in, not blending in.
That also goes to production, too, where they were filming, I think, in Washington. So they did hire locals of the town to be extras in the movie. So it's like you kind of get that, oh, these are high school kids that are here. And then you have the larger than life, wow, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
She can't be a student, right? She's got to be a teacher.
Right.
I'm curious about just the logistics of the vampire thing, right? Because...
What thing?
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. If I went to Forks High School, I would have looked over and been like, "They're fucking vampires," and everyone would have been like,
"Please, you wouldn't have even noticed that they went to school with you."
I would have. Oh,
how many women threw themselves at you in school and you had no idea?
At least 3, but that's besides the point. Okay,
and I had to tell you, I'm like, "Hey, she was putting the moves on you." No, she wasn't. She did X, Y, Z. Oh my God, she was putting the moves on me. I'm like,
she was just being nice. She bought me a Jamba Juice. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. You're one of those, Steve.
That's a revised story.
Oh yeah, it was a dude that bought me a Jamba Juice. That was a whole other
He
thing.
was putting the moves.
And that was in college. We were already dating.
Oh my god.
He cheated on me with some favorite Jamba Juice.
I didn't cheat on you.
For free Jamba Juice.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, Dean's like high school to college track is very much like, man, they were like really nice. Yeah, that was really cool. Find out later. I'm like,
They want
man,
your
I was
body.
like fucking catnip to these people. This is weird. Besides the point.
And you expect me to believe that you would have been able to pinpoint vampires in your high school?
Okay,
Get over
I
it.
might not be able to pick out when girls were into me in high school because I was an idiot, but I could 100% pick out if those motherfuckers are vampires. I thought they were in a cult, but
You
here's
would try to join.
maybe.
Cult, that sounds cool.
Maybe.
But the whole thing, right? Because they're all supposed to be like immortal vampires. They're all like, I don't know how old the youngest one is, but Edward's like 100, right?
Yeah.
So like, why is it that they're like, we're just gonna repeat what is traditionally considered the worst years of people's lives ad infinitum instead of maybe we just like get normal jobs and move every 10 years? You could just like move to like LA or like New York or like Chicago or one
It's
of
too sunny.
Maybe it's too crowded.
maybe it's,
That
and too sunny, yeah.
okay
And too much of
okay.
a temptation.
Maybe
Yeah.
but like there you could 100% just get away with being like, oh, I've lived here for 10 years. Why do
And-
you look the same from high school? Because it's only good genes? I don't know. I don't think they would raise that many questions. Like, they could stay for a while as just, I'm a 22-year-old, and then when it's like, oh, I'm now 32, I just, then you move. There's, like, logistical things I have questions about. Like, why are they repeating high school specifically?
You just answered
don't
it so
know.
they could stay in a place longer.
Yeah, and there's like 3,000 people there. So they would see them around town and then they'd be like, oh, why are your teenagers not in school or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I guess they could
They don't even
homeschool
look
them.
like teenagers.
No, they don't, but I don't know.
They'd be
They
like,
just don't want to raise any eyebrows, even though they are raising eyebrows.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to question it. It's like, yeah, you could. I don't know. It's just, again,
it's female
leap of
fantasy. Let it
faith.
happen.
Yeah.
It's also Dean, where he's got to, pick at things that it's like, don't worry about it. There's other things to focus on.
Funny that you like Lynch so much.
Talking an awful lot of shit over there for a woman that loves Blue Velvet.
I mean,
You love
How
Blue
dare you.
Velvet so much you
How-
talked about it for 2.5 hours.
how dare you?
So after we meet the Cullens, what happens next? This is where she finally has to have her interaction with Edward, and Edward has the creepiest like heavy breathing face to her.
I mean, are we really going to talk about heavy breathing when...
Yes, I get it. I'm
When-
fat. All right,
It's
let
not
me
that you're
have this.
fat,
He is coming for you today.
We'll just
Becky
be,
has no chill.
we'll just be sitting in bed watching TV, and he's next to me. And I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, why? And I'm like, because, you're breathing like you just ran up a flight of stairs. He's like, I'm just watching TV. I'm like, okay.
It's like that's you
you
done
need
caught
to-
yourself on that one. Yeah, get fucked, nerd. That's called karma.
Oh my god.
It's worth it. And you know what? I've got my inhaler, so I'll be okay.
I mean, we're having a great time. But yeah, but this is the first interaction that her and Edward have one-on-one, right? And
And it's so over dramatic the way that,
Wait, in the chemistry lab?
when he smells
Yeah.
her. When she's walking past the van, it's like, dude, calm down.
he has like some really like Bella should have asked, can I sit anywhere else? He's staring at me. Like, if you were in high school, I don't care if he looks like Robert fucking Pattinson. If you sat down and the guy next to you was just like,
I have, and I'm
Hey,
still with you
hey,
10
Bella.
years later.
See, this is what I feel that the film does a bad job of conveying this, because like in the book, you understand that like not only is he drawn to her, but she is like inexplicably drawn to him. Like
Mhm.
there's this like, that's what makes it so kind of like dangerous, is that she's the prey, but she's like drawn to the predator, and like it's
Mhm.
very romantic and stuff, but it's not conveyed in the film.
Yeah.
It's just like it's very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Very,
yeah.
and you're like, what the hell is Kristen Stewart's problem? Because she's just like, doing her Kristen Stewart like facial twitching, like mouth. whatever the heck
let's
she does.
get into this real
It's
quick.
so bad.
Okay. The Kristen Stewart of it all right?
That's the way to put it.
Do you like Kristen Stewart as an actress? Like, outside of this movie, as a thespian, an actor of the arts, like, do you like her? Because these were the movies that I think these are the movies that made her, like, famous, right?
Yeah.
She was in stuff before this.
Yeah.
She's been in stuff after this. But on her headstone, it'll say,
Twilight.
Bella from Twilight, and she'll be spinning in her grave because she hates these movies.
Yeah. I had seen her in, I think, one film before this called Speak, which was also an adaptation from a young adult novel about a girl who like got raped and had to deal with that. And I really liked her in that movie. I was like, I saw it in school actually, and I was like, oh, she's so different. She's so quirky. She's so Kristen Stewart. I do not like her in this movie. Even though like I like her look, like for the character, but I don't like her acting. And then the funny thing is that I feel like she and Robert Pattinson became really like great actors after this.
Oh yeah.
Like really, excellent, talented actors. So I don't know what was going on here, but
the speculation and what I've read is neither of them wanted to do this. Like, Robert Pattinson specifically did this because I think this was his first American film.
Yeah.
And he did this because if he did it, he got like a worker's visa and he could come to LA and actually America and do stuff like that.
He also went really method for this. He lived there for like a month. He wasn't speaking to people. So I was like, okay,
drank
he's kind of
animal blood.
I'm like, dude's,
Stalk Kristen Stewart,
Yeah, dude's really putting in the work, the time. And Kristen Stewart's like, I'm going to pass on this. And then it came back around. Maybe I'll take it.
It's just very interesting because, like, again, like you said, Kristen Stewart, like, I thought she was just an awful actress, and then I saw her in stuff after this. I've seen her in, like, Underwater, which is, like, a recent film, and she's great in that. And I'm like, oh, maybe, did you just not give a fuck in Twilight? And I think that's what it was, because, I think for this movie, everyone assumed it wasn't going to do well. I think they were literally like, we're going to do this because it's an adaptation, it'll pay, whatever, and it'll be fine. It'll be one and done. And then it just became the runaway mega success that the Twilight Saga was.
Why would they think it wouldn't do well? Because the books were so wildly popular.
I think mostly because it's a small studio. It's filming not in LA, it's not, or Hollywood. It doesn't have like a huge budget or whatever behind it. The other thing is, my guess is they probably didn't have a lot of confidence in the director, maybe, because the director, Hardwick, right?
Catherine
Hardwick. She had done like 13 Lords of Dogtown, stuff like that
it's like
before.
Documentary-esque.
Yeah, like I think they were like, the vibe for this isn't right, or I mean, you watch the behind the scenes, and she and the director was coming off as a very like, just kind of do whatever you want, man. Very improv. Just figure it out. Like, very
she's
chill.
very laid back. Chill is a good word. So it's like,
she's like a hippie.
Yeah, so it's like, I can see where she would probably be like,
right.
This is what I want, but
she's like Bella's mom. Sorry, but that is Catherine Hardwick. Like, Bella's mom is
Renee.
Yeah.
So it might have been that where people like during the production were like,
she's so chill. I guess we can kind of approach this in a chill way.
Yeah,
like documentary-esque. Yeah. Which is funny because Stephanie Meyer's like, she's a cameo in this movie.
Yes, she does.
But she's
a cameo in this movie.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Who's she?
She's in the diner. At the counter.
At the counter
with like her laptop and the waitress. It's like
she's writing Twilight in the movie.
Yeah, it's a little Easter egg in there.
Or she writing New Moon.
Anyway,
all right.
Yeah. She.
The only thing I'm more dedicated to than Becky is the bit. I'm very dedicated to the bit.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Lord of the Rings.
Quiet you. But yeah, so yeah, because like
she approved it, is what I'm saying, because she was on set.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a consultant.
It's just interesting because like the Kristen Stewart thing you bring up is, God, she does have a very like just blank, expressionless look for so much of the movie. And it doesn't help that she's
Sorry.
playing against Robert Pattinson, who the character of Cullen is supposed to be kind of aloof and non-interactive for the first hour of this film. So it feels like the first hour is very much a slog.
He's not aloof. I think he's tortured.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually don't fault.
And awkward.
He's awkward, but I don't actually really fault Robert Pattinson for his performance. I think like he was struggling with what he had to work with. But Kristen Stewart, man, she's just, yeah, she's like blank faced. And then if she's not like, you know, and then
Not like what?
I'm sure your listeners are going to love that. And then, you know, until she's going like absolutely cross-eyed in the ballet studio when she's dying and she's just like, sorry.
I remember us looking at each other like, what the fuck is this? It's awkward. It's cringe.
Yeah, it's cringe. It's majorly cringe.
Yeah, pretty cringe. Pretty cringe.
Which is, you know, you were bringing up Billy and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of comic moments like in this film that are, you know, trying to bring some relief, I guess, to the drama.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't feel like it's cohesive. I feel like it's like, oh, like you're saying, we're watching a different movie when we're seeing the high school kids.
Yes.
Or like Charlie and Billy. And then it's like, oh, it's just like kind of whiplash, you know, like bam, bam, you know.
Like how?
Like bam, bam. Like 1 minute, like Mike Newton is shaking his ass outside a diner. And the next minute.
How you look in the rain, girl? Make it rain, girl.
That guy's such a douche. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be and he does it well. But like, honestly, I actually feel like all of the actors playing her high school friends like do a great job.
They're just in a different movie. They are in like a funny Disney movie. They're like in a Disney high school
they're
romp
in High School
movie.
Musical, yeah, and it's funny. It's funny. You like it's believable. It's funny, but then you're like, okay, Mike Newton ass shaking to now Robert Pattinson just like breathing in her ear, just like, you know, I can't stay away from you any longer. You're like, what is
Bella,
that?
you smell so good. Oh god, you're my heroine.
My heroin.
Jesus
my
Christ,
own personal. What is it?
My own personal brand of heroin. And I'm like,
that's
you
from the book.
That is from the book.
That's from the book.
But the
That's
way it
from the
was
book.
delivered. Okay, maybe I am blaming our Pattinson because whoa.
Yeah, because in the book,
was-
that whole scene is wrong in the movie compared to what it is in
the book. It's like, whoa, this is like romance. This is like tension. This is like
because him running around and doing this, that's not in the book.
Oh, wait a minute. Him running
when she's like, I know what you are. You're a vampire, and then he runs around and is like, as if you could outrun me.
Yeah, it's totally different in the book.
That's like the best part of this fucking
what
movie.
What are you talking
No.
about?
Oh my god.
No, it's very romantic in the book because it's two people having a conversation in this beautiful meadow, and it's very sweet. So that's why when we saw it in the movie, we're kind of looking at each other like, what happened?
Yeah.
It wasn't this aggressive and all over the place. This was
and
just...
then you have to see my skin like great.
Yeah, I was like, no.
I'm like, bro, you just
no.
look like a stripper. It's fine.
I wish we had the book to like read a little bit of this scene.
That's why I was looking at the old people bookstore so I can, go
gosh.
grab it and,
Well, I want to talk about that scene because for the most part, like 90% of the first half of this movie is just, oh, does he or doesn't he like me, whatever. But the scene where he does the reveal, right? And I get it. Like in the book, it's a very romantic, like, him revealing everything. But I like it in this movie for when he's like, everything about me is an apex predator. My smell, my look, everything is built to draw you in.
Yeah,
like I would need that. You can't outrun me. I love that scene.
To build it, to show
Why
to
do
her...
like, what?
To show her how dangerous he is. Okay, I get that. I think he could have done it in a more serious tone, where it's, yeah, I am a predator and everything about me draws you in. And that's what makes me terrifying is that, you're attracted to me, but really I can use that so I can basically eat you, kill you, get rid of you, and we're good.
But thing is,
the
like
tone is completely off.
Mm-hmm.
Completely off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's like their first date when they have this conversation.
It's their first like alone.
Yeah.
Time.
But that that's like expanded lore. And it's him having this like he's angry at the fact that he is like this. Because here's like the thing, right? That I'm tinfoil hat firmly placed on my head, extrapolating out of this.
He's so excited.
Is the idea that this monologue, this story, this whatever, is basically Edward telling Bella that your love for me isn't real. Because for him, he can never really feel love from anybody because everything about him is designed to draw you in. He's a Venus flytrap. Like, his smells, his look. Like, one, he looks like Robert Pattinson, so obviously he's going to get all these teenage girls. But everything about him, his voice, draws people in. So he can never have, like, an actual relationship with anybody without thinking, this only works because you're an inferior species and you're drawn to me like a fucking anglerfish.
And then Bella's like, no, I'm just attracted to you. I'm drawn to you, but there's something there.
But he can't tell that. He doesn't know that. He can't read her mind.
He can't read her mind.
Which, again, the fact that your 100-year-old, like, high schooler can read people's minds, like, guys, this is problematic. But I'm just saying that I find it interesting.
Hey, it would make the day probably pass a lot easier. You're just listening to the tea and a different, oh my god, this one's doing what? That one slept with who? Their dad did what?
The tea. But I like the idea of that scene, even though he's angry and it's weird and he's, flying around and he's like, why would I need to look like this when I could just give him saying...
And he's never been in love before, and he is, and it's like he doesn't know that he's in love, and he's just like, why am I so angry? And I can't let her go. What does this mean?
See, as a man, I understand this. But that's the thing. Him being like, I don't know why that I'm like this, where everything makes you attracted to me when I could just chase you down and kill you. Mm-hmm. Because, again, it's the psychological effect of, like, if it was just I was super strong and I could rip you apart with my bare hands, then I could at least believe that you loving me is legitimate. But because everything about me makes you want me anyway, I can't tell that. I feel that's the inner conflict going on with Edward Cullen through this. And that's why I like that scene. And it being a romantic, like, don't worry, baby, then it doesn't work. No, I'm not. Jacob's better because Edward's still a fucking predator. But
you love The Predator. You've gone on to say that The Predator is the greatest film you've ever seen.
Accurate.
Oh my god, I will talk about The Predator nonstop.
Exactly, but he's more of a Chris Hansen predator. But besides the point,
he's not. But she's actively, going after him. Stay away from me. I'm dangerous.
Like an American Psycho predator.
We shouldn't be friends. Bet.
Honestly, I would watch an American Psycho starring Robert Pattinson. I think that would work. But yeah,
absolutely.
But that's why I like that scene in the movie, even though tonally it is awkward.
Tonally, but just completely different from the book.
Yeah, I think for us and for most women looking forward to this film,
we wanted that meadow scene.
Like that is what the backbone of this saga is like, and I feel like we just did not have a lot of like enough dialogue and development around like their romance and what makes them absolutely irresistible to each other. Like it wasn't there. I felt like it's funny because I was having flashbacks watching this movie again to being like 15 and I was remembering like the scenes that I had clinged to, which were like they're, I feel like the spooky moments work well. You're like, okay, yeah, we're getting some like ambiance here, like with, what's happening to these people who are mysteriously dying. Yeah. And then the ultra romantic moments where you're like, this is what I've been waiting for, right? Like the prom, the dance at prom and stuff like that. But man, I don't know, like that.
There was a lot of meat and potatoes that was missing from this. Totally. That was in the book. So many great conversations. Conversations are like, oh my god, I want to love somebody like that. And it was just like, it's not in the movie.
It's not in there. You're just being fed tofu,
Yeah.
You're
it's
never
enough to keep
fully
you strong.
Exactly. Yeah. Enough to keep you strong, but never fully satisfied.
I do appreciate that line because tofu's fucking awful. Have a steak, everybody. But yeah. But again, you have to look at it from my perspective here, right? Never read the books. I've only ever seen this movie.
We're gonna change that.
It's not happening.
It is.
Becky's gonna read them to you in art class.
Oh,
yes,
Jesus.
I am. We're going back to school.
Oh God.
just for this.
From extension classes at the local community college.
God.
Anyway.
From my perspective, I take that scene and I like it enough. Again, once that scene happens, I'm way more into the rest of the movie because all the high school stuff that's happening beforehand, it's not working on me, right? Mostly because like throughout it, I'm like, fucking Bella and fucking Edward have no fucking chemistry. Like they're just not working.
In the books, it's like, you see it like, oh, okay, they're really into each other and they're vibing, and in the movie it's just kind of, boom, now they're a couple. It's like,
yeah, for real. It's like you're not. It's very confusing in the movie actually, because it's like, she's like, I need to find out what his problem is, but it's like, why he looked at you in the cafeteria, like. But it's not, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And then suddenly there is something there. And then it's like, wait.
How?
Yeah. Do you hate each other? Or what, are you going to fight?
It's a thing where it's like he is into her. Like that's his whole thing. But he's very aloof and like, I don't want to be around her, blah, blah. And I'm like, she would just hate you after like you ditched her from biology class for 2 fucking weeks. Like... I really think Bella would not be into Edward based upon his actions in the first half of the film.
What do you mean?
I think the weird awkward staring is not helping. I don't think that's helping.
But when it's, Robert Pattinson staring at you,
you
make allowances.
This all because it's Robert Pattinson, it works. If it was Willem Dafoe, it wouldn't work. I see what you mean.
Well, I mean, why would Willem Dafoe be a high school student?
I don't know. He's a great actor. He could play many
young
roles.
Willem Dafoe was very attractive.
Well, yes.
So again, your examples aren't really.
This is what kills me is that they have her voiceover at certain points in the film, but like it's not, in my opinion, like it's not useful. It's not very effective, but they should have had more like narration, more voiceover from her regarding their relationship.
Yeah.
Like they could have pulled so much more from the actual text, and she could have, explained like, I didn't know why, but I was just drawn to him. You know what I mean? Like that's what should have been going on during this whole period where they're like, there's all this tension between them. Cause there's, I don't know. I feel like there's no, like we've said, no explanation, and you needed the text to come in, and
which is why I have so much like, which I think is why Becky hates me so much, is because I'm watching the movie and I'm like, why is it like this? Why are they like this? And her answer is just, that's how it was in the book. Like, you need to read the book to get it.
Yeah.
But the second half of the movie, so this is when basically cat's out of the bag. She knows that they're vampires. And we get to really meet the Cullen family, quote unquote. So and we get to understand their deal. So they're like vegetarian vampires, right? They eat animals or whatever. And I don't know if this gets explained in the later movies, but like, why is it that the guy, the head Cullen dude, Carlisle. Carlisle. Why? I don't understand Carlisle.
We'll get that later.
I was back in Edinburgh for a second.
See, we make you feel like you're at home.
I know. Thank you.
So, Carlisle, I'm confused as to why he has structured this like a family, or I'm confused as to why the certain vampires treat him like the father, when in reality they're all like, 80s.
He made them vampires.
He made them vampires.
Yeah.
I do think it's weird when he's like, now go clean up that bowl. And the other one's like, I fought in World War I, dog. Like, I don't need to clean up dick, and just like flies off and out of the window. But like, it is.
They don't fly.
They're fucking close. Wait till the baseball scene. But
they're like flying squirrels. They don't fly, but they fly.
They fly.
They leap.
They glide.
There you go.
They've just built this familial kind of bond with each other.
There is explanation in the book about it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, Carlisle is like a ethical vampire, and he's a doctor.
He's a doctor, and it's,
he's an ethical vegan, one of those kind of people.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to take, the choice of life away from you, live, but he wanted a family, because Carlisle's a really old vampire. He's the oldest out of the group.
Is he the oldest we ever see in the films? Because I know that, because the one vampire, like, from the other sect that shows up, he's like, James is the most dangerous I've seen in my 300 years. Is Carlisle older than 300 years
Yeah.
old?
Yeah. He is.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
That's why
We're like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
we'll talk about it in the next film.
Ooh, all
We
right.
really have to find the books.
I have
Or-
the rest of the books. I can't find my copy of Twilight.
Okay.
Again, it's a thing
I have
where
Midnight
like
Sun.
Okay.
'Cause-
Well,
I gotta let you borrow that one.
yeah. You do actually.
It's good.
but
It's
it's
angsty.
so much
Love
angst.
it.
But yeah, it's just a thing where I don't know the backstory of the whole vampire Carlisle thing. I don't know how old any of these other vampires are. I know how old Edward
There's
is,
stories for all of them, like
Yeah.
for Rosalie, Alice, Jasper, all of them. I do think,
and they all have their own special magic powers.
yeah, because of like things that happened to them or
Yeah.
like the way they died.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not explained at all in the.
Why they're all magical, or have
Yeah,
their own
they're-
special
no,
magic
like-
They're
X-Men
not
power?
all magical. Not everyone has superpowers.
Like gifts, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Esme, Carlisle's wife. She doesn't have any superpowers, but Edward, says basically her superpower is, basically love and understanding. Just she's this kind person.
Fucking weak. Weak.
Oh, please.
That's like getting fucking Heart and Captain Planet. All right, we like.
Oh
Oh,
my
I have the
gosh,
power
Captain
of Earth.
Planet.
I have the power of fire. I have the power of heart. Yeah, like, go get them, guys. Yeah, that's like the weakest power. Oh
Okay,
my
2
God.
words. Iron Giant.
Quiet you. All right, that his superpower is. Shut up, you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Dan did not watch Care Bears growing up, obviously.
I watched a ton of Care Bears growing
yeah,
up.
Sure.
I watched Care Bear,
sure.
Nutcracker Christmas. I watched all that shit.
I'm just imagining Dean doing the Care Bear countdown.
Don't even.
Care Bears countdown. Should I go into it?
He's fighting the urge to do it.
I know. Just
I watched
be
Strawberry
strong, be strong.
Shortcake,
Find
fucking
the-
Care
what is-
Bears.
Muppet
yeah.
Babies.
What does Carlisle say?
Didn't watch
Find
a lot
the
of Muppet
will,
Babies.
Dean.
Oh.
Find the will,
Find the
son.
will to stop.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like the Cullen family thing and like learning more about them is interesting. Like I guess vampires don't sleep at all.
They don't.
They don't.
That would drive me insane. You'd have to
There
hide
was
so
one
much to
thing
do.
that
So much time for activities.
in I don't remember this being.
You want to
in
do
the books.
karate in the garage? Are we best friends now?
Yep.
I don't remember this being in the books, but like they take photos of Edward. Like at prom, they take a photograph together.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't vampires not like if you take a photo of them? Am I completely incorrect? They're not supposed to show up.
It's like they're not supposed to show up in mirrors and in photographs and stuff like that. That's
Okay,
something
but-
from like
Like Dracula.
Dracula and
Mhm.
old vampire lore stuff. With vampire lore is completely made up, like cockamamie bullshit. And I
Mhm.
don't even mean that in like it's all fantasy, but like the sunlight thing, like vampires die in sunlight
Mhm.
that everyone freaks out about. Of like, why do they sparkle? Yeah, that was completely made up and was a thing from
Yeah.
Nosferatu, like the 1922 movie. That's not a thing from vampire lore. That was made up for a movie.
Mhm.
Like I think even like the silver bullets for werewolves, that's completely made up for like the 42 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so vampires, don't know, like if they're supposed to show up in
Did
photos or
you
not.
love when she's on her computer, like realizing that he's a vampire, and we have to like we see the words fine, like cold, immortal, super strong. Okay.
Yeah.
But then why do we have to see the clips of like her remembering? Oh yeah, he touched my hand. Oh yeah, he did. It's like
His hand was cold.
His
I
hand
think-
really was cold.
No,
yeah,
the best.
Why waste this freaking time when we could have narration
Yeah.
to explain
The
things?
best is when we get the flashback to when like the Cullens met the ancient Native American tribe.
Oh my!
When they're just like they were hunting on our
the
land.
sepia toned
Yeah.
flashback.
Yes.
I'm like,
Oh,
why?
It's like we wasted a scene on this when we could have done something else.
I love when we look over and it's just like, oh, those are like, a bunch of like Native American braves and they're all dressed in like traditional garb. And then we swoosh over to Spirit Halloween newsies lording over a deer. And I'm like, what the? Did you literally run out of money in that whip pan? Did you seriously? No, but yes, because there are some
Don't make me get into costume. Don't make me get into Bella's quirky prom outfit.
That cost $20. They got it from like Target. It's in the behind the scenes.
The lace edged legging that she has to wear under the dress with the Converse. I was like,
and weirdly,
I cannot deal with this right now.
They didn't say where Edward's suit is, his prom suit, but I guess that was the most expensive piece of clothing for the film.
Wow.
And I'm like, it just looks like a normal
regular
suit.
suit. Yeah.
That looked like a rent-a-tux.
Yeah, that's how I was kind of like, really? This was the most expensive article of clothing?
That's something that, again, is like just apparent throughout the movie. It looks like they had no money for like so much of this movie. Like, again, I know I'm being like a big meme or whatever, but they literally do the whip pan and the Cullens are standing in like they're on the cast of the fucking Newsies. Like they got the little cap.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
It's
the button up, the suspenders.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that.
Or when she's going through and she finds out he's a vampire and it's him and it's like
Stop.
And it's like Bela Lugosi coming in to bite down on the neck and then it comes up and it's Robert Pattinson in the Dracula cape.
It's Pinterest wasn't around at this time, I don't think. It's like a Tumblr.
Yeah, Tumblr.
It's like a 2008 like Tumblr girls like
I lived on
Tumblr
page.
Just like montages of like, Oh, and I was thinking of deviant art, like collecting image. It's like you're seeing a deviant art montage. It's egregious.
Again, we could have approached this so much more differently.
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I'm.
It's one of those things where I'm not saying the movie's like awful. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, let's be real here. But I am saying it is so like ultra specific to 2018 like girl angst.
2008.
Teen girl angst.
2000.
Not 2018.
What? This is
It
2008.
sounded like 2018.
Yeah, it sounded like it said 2018.
2008, teen girl angst.
There
that is
you go.
what this movie is
Which
so
really,
encapsulating.
The book isn't. The book has a timeless feel.
Yeah. Because I think Bella's supposed to be born in like 87. So this should be early 2000s?
It's really Stephanie Meyer's.
Yeah.
She wrote herself. Like, it's, yes, insert yourself here, but also, like, Stephanie Meyers is...
So straight up making some, like, self-insert fanfic?
Yes.
She was definitely mad that that really cute, pale vampire boy didn't go out with her.
Probably.
She's like, I never forgot it.
What blows my mind is that she's Mormon, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, dang, getting a little spicy for the Church of Mormon. I mean,
just a little spicy.
Yeah, like this is pushing it.
And
anyway.
we'll get there with the next films where
Breaking Dawn.
No, like Eclipse, where he's just like, can you keep clothes on?
Oh,
please, can you keep your clothes on?
Yeah. Wait, the only moment, in my opinion, that
gets even close to Simi.
Yeah, Arpat and Kristen Stewart have chemistry is when he comes to her room and then they have their kiss, which turns into like, oh, we're getting a steamy makeout sesh.
And he almost breaks the bed.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get that later on.
Oh my god.
Oh, Breaking Dawn.
Wait a minute. That's
not the only thing breaking and Breaking Dawn.
Did they I need to know, do they fuck the rafters off that goddamn bed?
You're gonna have to wait till you get there. I can't give you all the spoilers.
I'm okay.
I am clutching my metaphorical pearls.
I'm so glad that we didn't see those together.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration for 50 Shades is very, very obvious.
Yeah.
But no, what was I getting at with the steamy makeout? And
that's the spiciest thing in the movie.
Yes, but like he throws himself off of her and then is like, I can't lose control with you. I'm like, this is a Mormon girl's fantasy. Because it's not really...
It's not even how it happened in the book.
No.
Which is, again, frustrating. I was like, that's not how that happened.
Yeah. But the idea...
I was waiting for Bella to be like, I mean, we could do like hand stuff.
Oh,
I was waiting for her to be like, look, I'm from like Arizona. Like, we could figure this out, all right? Like, it's fine.
And here comes part 2 of my story that I started at the theater
with
the weird chick that was sitting next to Yasmin. As soon as we get to the kiss, she dropped her book and she grabbed her boyfriend and she planted one on him. And me and Yasmin are just sitting there like,
Jesus, take the wheel.
yes. And then she let go of him when they finished kissing, and she picked up her book and she was like, okay.
Did she throw him away from her?
Yeah, she was like, okay, I've had enough. And, I'm done. I'm back. I'm locked in. And I'm just like, why are you acting out the movie?
I hope that man, found
dumped her
a
that
better.
night. Yeah.
They're married. They have 2 kids.
Oh, God.
Named Renesmee and something else.
God. No, they're both.
Edward
they're
Jacob.
both. Oh. I went to school with a kid named Jacob Edward.
Jedward.
Jedward.
Oh. This movie ruined that kid's life. I swear to God.
Ed Cub.
But again, I feel like also bro, Eddie, my boy, Edman. So you're 100 years old. You cannot tell me you haven't figured out a loophole around I'm super strong. I would break a woman if I. Bro, let's be real here. You'd be like, honey, we could do hand stuff. It's whatever. Just we could figure this out.
She's very Mormon. This wasn't gonna happen.
This is the point that this was her Mormon fantasy, because it's actually at that point, I think, not about him being a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
It's this fantasy of oh, this man is absolutely obsessed with me, worships me, but respects me so much that he's not gonna take it too far.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fantasy. It's
Mm-hmm. I could just sit there in my underwear and talk to him, and we'll be okay.
Oh yeah, he's just gonna control himself.
He's my vampire best friend. It's fine.
My vampire best friend. Yeah. Gosh, there was something I wanted to say, and my mind has been completely wiped by this.
No,
Jedward and Ed Cobb, and I just can't think anymore.
It's the moment in the movie where it's they seem to actually enjoy the scene together. They actually seem to
because they
have...
wanted to.
Yeah.
Because they dated after this.
They did.
And then she cheated on him.
She did.
Oh, she did.
It broke all our hearts.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because she did it very publicly.
Yeah.
It was on TMZ.
She
her
didn't
making
even...
out with a director, and we was just
So she was filming Snow White and the Huntsman,
mm-hmm.
and she decided to make out with the director
who
was married to a very beautiful woman,
mm-hmm.
a model.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
I like how you had to throw that in there, being who's married to a much more beautiful woman, a model who looked better than Kristen Stewart.
Saying,
Fuck that bitch.
What the heck? I mean, it wouldn't matter if his wife was looked awful. It's cheating is cheating, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's a dummy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see.
And she literally broke Robert Pattinson, who's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Such a stand-up dude. Good dude.
He's Batman.
He's Batman.
She cheated on Batman.
He wasn't Batman at the time.
And here he was.
We saw his potential.
They did.
I see. Well, so this is around the time we get the baseball scene, I think.
Yeah.
Which, really fun. Digging it. I like the whole idea. You have to play it in a thunderstorm because they're super strong. Also, they would be blowing the guts out of those fucking balls if they're hitting it at Mach 5 like they're shown in the movie. Let's be real here.
Again, it's a movie. You gotta pick and choose, your logic.
Sure. But the baseball scene's fun. I think this is the first Paramore song in the movie.
No, that's Muse.
Is it Muse?
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Supermassive black hole. Come on, dude.
Okay, so, I was leaning to a point. The soundtrack of the movie, right?
Yes.
The soundtrack is really, really good in this movie.
Yeah. It works.
It
works really well.
In all the movies, the soundtracks are really, they're fire.
It encapsulates teen girl angst very strongly.
Which, that's another thing is that, it surprises me that they expected the movie to do poorly because they got a lot of great musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have Radiohead on this soundtrack. I know that they didn't make the songs for the movie, but they got the rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, they have Radiohead in the credits. They have Muse. They have Paramore.
Mm-hmm.
They have... What else? I mean...
Linkin Park, I think. Well, she has the soundtrack.
I have the original soundtrack, yeah. So we got Linkin Park. We have Blue Foundation, Iron and Wine,
mm-hmm.
Robert Pattinson.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he does the whole, country rendition at the end. You didn't know that?
The song when they're having dinner together for the first time.
Oh my God.
And when she's going through her montage where she's, coming back to life. That's him singing, too.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. You're just Robert Pattinson.
Doing it all.
But, yeah, so the soundtrack for the movie is really, really good. But what just really, I think encapsulates the beauty of this film is when the other vampires show up. And the other vampires were, like, killing people, right? And they're like, oh, we didn't know this is claimable. Deuces or whatever. And then they find out that Bella is a human. And they all have to strike their badass vampire attack pose in the middle of a baseball field.
Yeah.
That is pure cinema right there. Is a bunch of grown-ass people trying to look as intimidating as possible while making vampire poses in
And
fucking baseball
flashing
uniforms
their fangs.
and flashing their fangs.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Those 3 vampires
Mhm.
we see, and like their scenes when they're, stalking their prey and,
Which happens throughout the movie,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. I was like, whoa. This is like the 90s vampire TV shows. That was like the vibe that I was getting from those scenes was like Buffy the Vampire
Yeah.
Slayer and Angel and like stuff, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. I didn't like it because it's not what I would imagine from Twilight, but
Mhm.
from the book.
Yeah.
That's actually something interesting you bring up, because vampires in pop culture at that point was not defined by, like, the Twilight Saga or whatever. It was like Buffy, right? Buffy,
Yeah.
Angel, Blade were like the big pop culture media vampire
And then
stuff.
when was
Mhm.
True Blood? Was it before Twilight or
Uh,
after
I
Twilight?
feel
Same
like
time?
True Blood was
after.
was
right?
after, True Blood was like 2 years after
Okay.
this. I think like True Blood started, well, maybe it started like 2009, 2010.
I'm pretty sure it was after this, because it's like Twilight became really popular, and then I think True Blood came
Mhm.
out after, because
It was riding the coattails kind of
Mhm.
of the
Kind of.
vampire craze.
yeah, it's like the same thing where it's like zombies became super super popular right after Walking Dead dropped.
Yeah.
But I think it's just interesting how Twilight showed up and it basically just erased Blade vampires and
Yeah.
Buffy and Angel vampires until these people show up, and then it's like,
Mhm.
oh my god, that 90s vampire shit's spilling back into the movie.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like, Buffy, Angel, like they had that like grittier and sort of.
I like
just,
how we're
like,
saying Buffy and Angel were gritty.
But okay, in comparison to what Twilight was supposed to be,
Yeah.
like, they're much more like real world, just have a like a candid feeling. I don't know, because I feel like Twilight was supposed to be in the vein of like classic vampire romance. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I feel like this was riffing off like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the kind of like
Yeah.
not this movie, but the idea of Twilight as a book.
Mhm.
It was supposed to have this like, the insane chemistry and passion between Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder that you're like, whoa, like
Like they are
flames, like hot fire flames.
Mhm.
they,
like,
they are on the verge of banging in every scene they're in together.
absolutely, and you believe it because the chemistry is like insanely off the charts.
Mm.
But
We should have had Gary Oldman as Edward and Winona Ryder as Bella in this movie.
honestly, I would love it. Okay.
You'd be all in.
Like, y'all are way too old for this at this point, but like all day, every day. Yeah. No, it just, I feel like that's what, like that was supposed to be the tone of it. Like ultra romantic, super passionate, not like Catherine Hardwicke, Lords of Darktown, you know?
No.
Very relaxed, very chill. It's a vibe. We're
Yeah.
just riding the
This
waves,
is the
man.
Pacific Northwest. Yeah, like
What was that?
this is the Pacific Northwest, you know?
You said that in way more of a like,
Just like, whatever.
what's up, man? We're going to
Yeah,
Pacific
yeah.
Northwest.
You know, well, I mean, like, you got fishermen and a wharf and just like.
I don't just surf the internet. It's La Push.
La push.
Oh my god, I try to block that scene out. That scene is awful. But so now the evil vampires are now hunting down Bella because they're like, we're gonna eat this bitch, and I'm like, why?
Well, James
like
is.
Jimmy James, just find somebody else.
Right? There's like so many people around.
Is Bella
He's like, no,
really?
I want that one. Her boyfriend got pissed off. I want that one.
Yeah, I think that's why. What's the name of the other dude?
Laurent?
Laurent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laurent.
Laurent is sick of his shit.
Yeah.
And
I love that he's the leader and he's like, honestly, like fuck James, like fuck him in the ass. Like he's a total asshole. Like I was really cool chilling in Nolans and just vibing, and then he's like, let's come up here, and he's just fucking bringing me down. I've lived 300 years and he's the biggest douche nozzle I've ever met. And I'm like,
Correct.
You've lived for 300 years and he's the biggest douche nozzle you've ever met. That's impressive.
That's an insult. Yeah. I don't remember if there's something in the book about why James is so fixated on Bella, but I do think that...
Because it's a game.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think he's just sadistic, and he's like, that would be fun. Like, he lives for the hunt, and he's just like, yeah, he could just go and drink somebody else's blood, but it wouldn't be as twisted, you know?
So he's just evil for the sake of evil?
I think he just relishes being a predator, and he's supposed to be, in high contrast to Edward, who's like, that's not who I am, that's not what defines me or what my identity is. I'm a protector, not a predator.
Humans are friends, not food.
Duh.
Exactly. Well, then we get into Bella has to go on the run, right?
Yes.
And the Cullen family are going to protect Bella because, oh, look how sweet she is. Oh, how nice. And then we get, Bella breaking old Chuck's heart, saying the same things her mom said when she left. And I'm like, Bella, you didn't have to do your dad dirty like that.
Yeah.
You'd have been better if you just didn't come home. You should have just done that, Bella.
Just
Fuck's wrong with you?
Never come back. Wait, I don't know if I'm taking us off track here, but I wanted to mention something real quick about that.
We were on a track?
We're following the plot.
Come on, you've got direction.
Not well.
So self-deprecating. Anyway, I feel like the dialogue. Okay, I feel like Bella does not sound like a teenager, and
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of how she's written in the book too, where she's like, "Oh, my mom always told me I was like born like 35."
Like an old soul.
Yeah, she's an old person in a young person's body.
Maybe I don't remember that.
Well, in the movie, she does come off as like, almost like I'm a
grown ass woman.
I'm a grown ass woman, or I'm a narcotics officer, and I have to bum it in high school. Like this
isn't 21 Jump Street, okay?
Well, she has a vibe where she doesn't fit in, but it's not in the normal. I'm a high school girl. I don't fit in with anybody. It's in the, I don't relate to anyone here because it's like
I don't care about this.
I don't care about any of this. Like, I'm an adult, and I can't even feign interest in your high school bullshit. Like, that's how she comes off in a lot of the movie.
Yeah, and I don't remember that in the text. Maybe it's intentional. But like, just from the very beginning when she's talking about her mother, the way she describes her mother, I'm like, that isn't how a 17-year-old girl would describe her mother. It's just too it's too self-aware, too mature.
Yeah.
And then the way she has this conversation with her dad, and he's just like, who lets their 17-year-old daughter just leave in a car alone at night?
Okay.
Yeah, like, I guess I'm powerless. I mean, I don't know.
It's also like, Chuck, you have handcuffs. You're a police officer.
You can actually stop her
You
from leaving.
cuff her ass to the banister, my guy.
Yeah. But also, like, on a similar note, I feel like Catherine Hardwicke is like Renee, like really trying to trying to be cool with the kids, like trying to speak the slang. In terms of how she portrays teenagers, because like I feel like it is an idea of what adults think teenagers act like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's been a thing leveled against a lot of media of like for like decades, right? Like, how many like 80s like teen high school movies where everyone's played by a 30-year-old, and when they talk, people are like, yeah, whoever wrote this has never spent any time with a teenage person ever. Like, ever.
Right.
I had the same problem with like Juno, which I think came out around the same time.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, none of these people sound like human beings.
Yeah, they sound like adults. They
Yeah.
sound like adults. But also, like, I feel like the times when she was... I don't know if this is Catherine Hardwicke's fault, but, like, I don't know what her direction was, you know? Like, when the Cullens come in to the cafeteria and Anna Kendrick... What's her name? Jessica. Jessica is like, that's Alice. She's really weird. And then she's like twirling into the cafeteria with Jasper. I'm like...
Also, they're like together. Isn't that supposed to be illegal? Well, they're not related.
Yeah.
That would not... A real high school thing would be like, yo, there's that bitch again. I think she's fucking her brother. No, dude, no way. Dude, no, for real. She's fucking her brother. I swear to God. Dude, aren't they, like, related? No, they're not related. They're, like, adopted. Dude, I think I saw something like that on Livewire, dude. Yo, check this shit out. That's how that conversation would devolve in a real high school.
Yeah. I feel like she tried, but it was awkward.
Very awkward.
Very, very awkward. I think Anna Kendrick actually like really carried her weight here. Like in terms of what she was given, like you could see that like she's funny.
Yeah.
Like really funny. But
I mean, this prom dress makes my boobs look great.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is a line in this movie that she does
That is a
deliver.
line in this movie.
Yes.
I don't know if that was accurate, but I did chuckle during the filming of this movie.
I don't remember that being in the book.
It was not in the book.
Neither was You Better Hold On Tight, Spider Monkey.
Oh my.
That was not in the
Why?
book.
Okay. That.
And
why does he call her a spider monkey?
That's not in the book.
No one knows.
And then I saw a recent interview with Kristen Stewart, and they brought that up, and she goes, "Oh, I don't know." She goes, "I think that was in the book." And I'm yelling at the interview. I'm like, "That wasn't in the book.
It wasn't.
Who came up with that? Who thought that was a great line?"
Robert Pattinson came up with that on the
Honestly-
day as being like, "This is a throwaway take, right? Come on, spider monkey, let's go." That had
I
to been
could
a
totally
throwaway
see him
take.
memeing that, but it's just like, no.
Like just trying to make the movie tank, and then Catherine Hardwicke was like, "No, that's great. It was really like really natural." I don't know.
And he's
It's-
like, "I'm gonna be Batman. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. This is a stepping stone to Batman."
The other thing is, I noticed like jokes that completely went over my head when I was a teenager, like when they're talking about, Jessica and then the other girl, Angela. Sorry, they're talking about like what stories to run in the school newspaper, and then they start talking about like the swim team.
The speedo
And like
padding.
speedo padding,
Mhm.
and like, oh, there's no way he's like think me that big. He's too skinny. Have you seen him? Like in the background, and I'm like, oh my word! Like
You missed that?
I completely missed that. I was just maybe too innocent, but I was like,
Well, we watched Vanderpump Rules the other day, and we discovered that is a very common thing in the male modeling industry.
Seriously?
They stuff socks in there, yeah.
Also, Vanderpump Rules is now like
His favorite show.
My favorite show,
Wow.
and
I've done it.
I really need
Mhm.
Becky to come over more so that we can watch it together because we're in
He
season 2. All right,
He won't watch it on his own.
I refuse to. Fucking Jax and Stassi are broken. Jax just got the fucking
Oh
her name
my
tattooed on his
gosh.
arm. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. But god damn it, I need to see how this plays out because fucking Sandoval just cheated on what's her face, Kristen, in the exact same way Jax did, and I'm like, Sandoval, you're just trying to beat Jax, aren't you? Because he's way more entertaining than you are.
look, Dean loves the tea.
He does.
He loves the
Mhm.
drama. Lives for the drama.
Yes, but I don't want to watch it without Becky because that's rude. And Becky's like,
I've seen it a bunch of
Aw,
times.
You should have
I
a talk
know.
with my husband.
Mm.
He just watches things without me, and I'm like, do you even care?
Do you even take your vows seriously?
Yeah, like
See,
what?
I take my
like,
vows
you have
seriously.
betrayed me.
Mm-hmm.
So rude. Kevin, if you're listening to this, like, how dare you?
Very rude.
I want to imagine, Kevin, after you hear this and you walk into the room and yell at Yasmin for, like, this whole betrayal thing, then make her have you make you a sandwich, all right? Good on you.
Oh, stop.
Awesome.
You know, just for that,
Dean,
you're
you're
buying
going
us.
down. You're buying us
You're buying us
sandwiches.
sandwiches after this.
Wow, so sexist. Making the man pay for sandwiches.
You're damn right. You're gonna buy them and you're gonna like it.
So rude. So,
You're going to say thank you for letting me pay.
so rude. Kevin, get a sandwich for me. So, the vampires.
Kevin, watch out. She's gonna throw a sandwich at you.
Be careful.
So,
He's always careful.
So vampires. They are now running away, and I think James, being cartoonishly evil, has manages to track him down to, or convince Bella that he's captured her mom, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, but he hasn't but she uses that to lure Bella to a
Ballet studio.
ballet studio. Okay, cool. I thought it was a church for a quick second, and then I was like,
Dean
no
would
way.
think that a giant room filled with mirrors is a church. He'd be like,
Accurate.
"Oh, I see me everywhere. Time for worship." I'm sorry, that was so mean. You set me up. You set
okay.
me up.
The giant cavernous room with the lights billowing in, and I'm like, that looks like a fucking church. Jesus would
Filled
come in
with
here.
Mirrors. It's just a room filled with mirrors.
So Jesus can't be like, look upon thyself, my son, and see the spirit within you.
Wow.
You're
He
just
wouldn't
coming up
do
with
that.
stuff at this point.
Dean's creating a new religion.
I could create a religion.
He already has one. It's called Deanism.
Welcome to Deanism.
He's tried to recruit me for years.
Beanism.
Deanism. It's great.
Oh,
Great
no,
religion.
not the Beanism.
So we get the final climactic showdown where I am taken aback by the strength of the wire works going on here.
Tell us why, Pastor Bean.
Well,
Well, are you a pastor or what are you?
Preacher.
Preacher.
Yeah, I'm
Preacher
ordained.
Bean.
Wait.
I'm ordained by the
You
state.
guys, I need to make comments at the end that have like completely tangential comments.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, we'll get sure. So the we get the ending fight between Edward and James. Bella's hurt; she's bleeding out. Right.
She's got a broken leg.
Got a broken leg. I like the
She
fight.
banged her Coco.
Banged her Coco.
She did.
Jesus Christ. I like the line where James is like, you'll never be able to defeat me. You're not strong enough. Or something like
Strong
that.
enough to kill you.
I'm strong enough to kill you. And I'm like, that is a Steven Seagal line if I've ever heard one in my life.
The next
Did
time
you kick
somebody...
your TV? You're like, fuck yeah.
I'm like, men.
Someone says, it doesn't happen often, but if someone ever says to me, I don't know if you're strong enough, I'm going to be like,
I'm strong enough to beat you.
Kill you.
I want to see that. I want to
Okay.
see you utter those lines.
It has to be. It's going to be something so mundane of being like, you're like trying to like move a counter, and it's like, hey, I don't think you're strong enough to move that. Let me help you. And then you turn like, I'm strong enough to kill you, and they're like, whoa.
The most likely scenario for this is that one of my brothers would say it to me, and that's what would make it so funny, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it would be something I would say to them. I'm strong enough to kill you.
They're like, oh, easy. Okay, cool.
They're used to
That's
that.
fine. What? And then they just
Yeah.
back out of the room slowly, you know? So we get the ending climactic battle. James, kind of a pussy.
Well,
Let
yeah.
that be known.
What the hell? He barely put up a fight, and then they're just like, Alice finish him off, and she's just like
Ripped his head off.
I like how she jumps on it. She jumps on him like a spider monkey and rips his head off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bella's bleeding out, and then Carlisle's like, "You're gonna have to suck the vampire venom out, Edward, but don't kill her." And I'm also like, Carlisle, couldn't you do it? You're a fucking doctor.
And he's like, I'm working on, the tourniquet, the splint. You need to do something, okay?
That makes sense.
He's like, I've got enough on my plate right now.
Carlisle would be like, yo, dog, hold this tourniquet because as long as you hold it because you're as strong as Superman, it'll be fine. I got this.
He needed to prove
Nailed it.
his
All
love.
right.
That was the point. He had to prove
He had to prove his love.
his love. It was
You
like
either
the
let her
ultimate.
become a vampire or you save her.
Yeah,
and
and he
try not
needed
to
to
kill her.
show that he could control himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say?
That the face that Robert Pattinson makes when he's strangling James is the greatest performance he's ever given in his life. The snarl, he has the Billy Idol sneer going on like.
I cannot. Yeah. Well, for me, it's Bella going cross-eyed, but just like her finest moment.
Oh. They're doing the scene, and it's so late in the day. They're so tired. They've been filming for like 10 hours, and they just want to go home. And they're like, "All right, Kristen, you need to do your thing."
This is Kay Stewart's thing,
and it's Kay Stewart's thing. It's KS's thing, and they're like, just sell it, all right? If you do it great, then the first take, we're done. And she's like, going all out, cross
she's
eyes.
Like, I got this, like twitching, glitching, moving my mouth, going cross-eyed. This is like her jam.
I've been practicing this my whole life.
Absolutely.
And they're like, Robbie Pattinson, look fierce when you're strangling James. Got you. Oh, God.
I was gonna say that the first thing I thought of when Carlisle's like, "You gotta suck out the venom," I was just like, "That's nasty. Like that's some other guy's venom that you're gonna suck out with your mouth. Like nasty. It's like drinking someone else's saliva. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Dean's done that.
Oh, God. Everybody
I
check
don't
your
wanna
drinks
know.
before you pick them up at the parties. So, but it is fun, you know.
And the worst was when he did that, he texted me, goes, "I kind of cheated on you." And I'm like,
I did
what?
not say that.
You
Wow.
texted me, said you cheated on me. I'm like,
I did
what?
not
It's
say
like, I have
that.
somebody else's bodily fluids in my body. Dean.
It gave me a heart attack.
Dean's
I'm
like
what?
looks so disgusted and scared, and
You guys are awful.
You did it.
So Bella is saved from dying and wakes up in the hospital so we can get the resolution to the real plot of this whole movie. The real thing that lets us know that we have completed the story is Bella and Edward go to prom.
Jacob shows up
Jacob
out of the woods.
out of the woods.
And Bella's just like, "Oh, hey.
You crashed the prom?
Yeah, what's up?"
Yeah, you know, my dad paid me $20 to come and talk to you.
$20
you
is
know?
a pittance.
You know.
She's like,
That's all it took.
thanks, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know,
Somehow he manages to make it not as awkward as the rest of the movie.
again,
Yeah.
best actor in one of the best
Yeah.
actors in the movie. I think it's a thing where the wig is doing him no favors.
No.
They really should have just like, hey Tay-Tay, you know, can you grow your hair out a little bit? And just gone
Tay-Tay.
with that, you know, not
Giving him
the
extensions.
There you go.
anything,
Not a wig.
anything.
You
other
know,
than
there
that.
needs to be like an Academy Award for like actor who managed to overcome greatest obstacles. Taylor Lautner, like
Actors that elevated movies that should not have been as
Yeah.
good as they are.
yeah.
Yeah. Actors who have
Gable.
elevated bad films. I feel if that was an Oscar category, Bruce Campbell would have like a throne of Oscars at this point.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the ending of Twilight.
They go to prom,
They go to prom. She's like, turn me into a vampire.
and he's like,
Make
"Not
me
right
one
now.
of your French girls.
Maybe later.
Maybe later.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Can't you just be happy with a life together with me? No,
For now.
because I'll be old as fuck and you will still be a 17-year-old Adonis, all right?
Like I said,
Please.
we'll get there.
We'll get there?
We'll get there.
See, this is I feel like Catherine Hardwicke I'm gonna blame Catherine Hardwicke for everything. Just like, okay, I just threw a bunch of shit at you.
Most of the fandom does.
Gas is going up in price for Catherine Hardwicke, my guy.
I feel like the prom scene was like her apology. She was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna like, here's a bunch of papers, here's the stamp that you were looking for, you know, like to tie this all together, because that's what we were waiting for. I don't know. That scene is so Twilight, like
Yeah.
according to the book.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because they do go to prom.
Yeah, but like the vibe is right.
Yeah.
They're under fairy lights, and you know he says, "Okay, I'll do it right now," and then he actually just kisses her, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, romance!"
And it's also him testing himself because he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kiss her
Mm-hmm.
throat," which has always been, contention because I
Right,
could rip her throat out.
right.
That's his fear. He's like, I'm just gonna rip her throat out on accident. I'm gonna touch your face. I'm gonna smash your skull in. That's in the book.
Is it questionable to fall in love with your food?
Um,
Because I'm about to fall in love with a sandwich.
I see.
I'm
I
gonna
see.
whisper, and it's
Sandwich ear.
in its crust. You're my own personal predator.
So Becky, you said that a lot of people blame Hardwicke for this film. What's that supposed to mean? Was this when this movie, finished and people are filing out of the theater? Were people angry at this film? Was the fandom annoyed with what they got?
A little bit. I mean, it was kind of a mixed bag where people were, excited. They were like, "Oh, that was so hot," and the book fans were like, "Well, there were scenes, but it was just like, well, what about the
We
other
took
things
what
were
we
important?"
could get.
Yeah.
I was one of those book fans. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'll
Just
take what I can get. I
fuck this movie.
was just clinging to the parts that were close to the book.
Yeah. It was sad, man.
You a sad man?
It was sad.
But I mean, each film is different. Each film has a different director, so you kind of see the vibe change. You see people that kind of pull more towards the story. I don't know if it's because of more funding or just some of the criticism that they got from the first film, where it was just, we want it to be more like the book.
Fantasy. We need fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, this movie, what is it? It's funny because this movie got shit on by like critics and audiences when it came out, but it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, this movie made like gangbusters compared to what it cost. I mean, it was
so appropriate because like everybody in the film is like working against all odds, and the film itself is working against all odds. The film is wearing a bad wig.
Yes, the film is wearing a bad wig.
Because I think they had like $34 million to make the movie, and then I think opening weekend they made like $100 million.
It's something like that.
Opening night, the night that we went, they made like a ridiculous amount of money. So
it was one of the biggest opening weekends.
People were camped out.
I mean, we sat in that line for a while in the theater. We were there for a while.
It's just it's just a thing where watching the movie, it feels like no one really wants to do these films, and then it's like
it's the whole thing, that we've talked about with other movies. They don't want to get typecast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be, known as Edward forever, but that pay though.
Yeah.
Now all that residuals, the merch.
Well, I think like those
like Madam
two.
Web.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, when they signed on for the movie, they signed on for like a multi-picture deal if it became a franchise. But when they were making the movie, they were like, "This isn't gonna we're not gonna make fucking 5 of these guys."
Yeah, because at that time, I think New Moon was either about to come out, so it was still just the first book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they anticipated it being a whole saga of books. Because, I think it was just supposed to be the first book.
I thought New Moon was out by the time this... I'm pretty sure it was out.
Well, the first book
And
is
like,
05, right? So I'd imagine
so.
the second book would have been around the time of the release.
I think it was out. I think it was out. But I think also maybe Robert Pattinson, who was in Harry Potter, maybe he kind of just thought it was going to be similar to that. He was Cedric Diggory,
Yeah.
New
yeah.
Moon came out in 2006.
Yeah. So
When did
maybe...
Eclipse come out?
I remember that... I feel like Eclipse was out. 07, yeah. So the movies were made, and then it was Breaking Dawn. It was waiting for Breaking Dawn.
Okay. So it's a thing where...
Which I also waited at a bookstore to get Breaking Dawn.
Breaking Dawn
release.
came out 2008.
Yep.
Okay, so this is one of those things
so
where...
that money train,
Rolling.
she finished with the last book.
And then picked right up in those movie deals.
The movies were picking up.
I mean, it's very interesting that the movies just... It's so weird to think about that this movie spawned a multi-film franchise from like the books, and from everything I've heard today, if anyone hasn't been paying attention, the books are much different than this movie. I'm so surprised that, this movie comes out and this garners enough money, goodwill, whatever, to get the rest of the franchise greenlit. And all of them made money.
Yeah.
All of them were, like, successful. Maybe none of them won Oscars, but fucking all of them were, made money, got people paid. And
they were the number one films at the box office when they came out. I looked up something about the soundtrack. It was ridiculous. I was one of the people there that first day that the soundtrack, came out.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it? The soundtrack was on the number one slot for the Billboard 200. It sold 165,000 copies in its first week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so again, I feel like this is was this one of those right place, right time kind of things?
I think so. I think it helped with all the issues it had with Paramount and the other studios that tried to pick it up and tried to change the story so much. It just needed that time to kind of sit there and permeate and get into the right hands.
Well, it's also a thing. It probably needed time for the fandom to actually build the books,
become strong, and get more or less the right actors to sit and be these characters,
like Henry Cavill and Emily Browning. But yeah,
that would have been something.
Any more thoughts on the first Twilight film?
Yes.
Anyone? Yes, you have thoughts. Do you
right.
have thoughts?
I have thoughts.
She's got words.
there are so many like strange inconsistencies in this movie. Like from the very beginning.
Mhm.
Like when she's sitting in the car with her dad, and he's taking her to the house. He says like, I know it's intentionally supposed to be an awkward conversation, but he's like, your hair grew. And then she's like, I cut it since the last time you saw me. And then he's like, oh, it must have grown. And then I'm like, what? Am I just stupid? No, but then wait, right after that, I get it, okay, but then right after that, she says, I used to go to Forks every 2 weeks in the summer, but I hadn't been for years. And then I'm like, what? Why would you be commenting on her hair? And then does that
She's got nothing else to talk
sense?
about.
I get it, but like it was so like bizarre. Like you could have used any other thing to make it awkward, but that was like specifically. It seemed inconsistent and like bizarre.
Because I think it was a thing in the books that she talks about how she used to go to Forks every summer and then she stopped going, and it was a thing where Charlie would come out to Phoenix to visit her. So it might have been a thing where he came out to Phoenix to visit her during the summer.
Saw her
so he
hair.
has seen her. So maybe it's just, because I think she goes to school in the beginning of the year. So maybe it's a thing you hadn't seen.
Just like, what
I know.
Well,
And
there's
then-
a lot of weird
and then-
inconsistency stuff with that, like how the diner waitress remembers, I remember everything about you from when you were last here when you were 4.
Okay, then they go dress shopping, and Anna Kendrick's holding up a dress with 2 straps, and she's like, I'm not sure about the one shoulder thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what one shoulder thing?
It's on the hanger.
Yes,
It's like
literally, I don't know. It's just strange. And then I could go on and on. I don't know. Why does Charlie have a huge house when he's just like a single police officer?
I mean,
it's not that
he's
huge
the
a house.
sheriff and it's
But
Washington.
wait a minute. It only has one bathroom.
1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and then wait until we get into New Moon, the backyard.
Oh,
Oh
my
wait.
gosh.
Oh, I just realized that because it's like a 2-story
It's a 2-story
like
house with 1 bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Maybe the bathroom thing I can get, but the thing is like when you just said it's like, oh, it's a 2-bedroom or whatever. I'm like, that house is huge.
It's big.
That's a big house. I would. There are people now who would kill for that kind of house.
Also, the way that it's decorated, I'm like, a single man does not live in there. It is way too
Wow.
homey, way too comfortable.
It would be fine. You can live
Where
there.
Becky wants to say something.
I have a boo fact.
Boo
Did
fact.
you know that the house in the movie, the Swan house,
Mm-hmm.
you can rent it on Airbnb and stay in it?
Yes, you can stay in the Twilight house. I think you shared a reel with me.
Yeah, I did.
Of somebody like going there and then reenacting like scenes.
Yeah, the people that live
Oh, like,
there have
slipping outside.
created Bella's bedroom and everything, so it's like you can stay there.
I see.
One more thing I want to talk about.
About how you want to go to the Twilight house for your second honeymoon.
Kevin doesn't know like the first thing about Twilight. Like I could literally just go and tell him nothing and then just like clown on him. And be like, what are you doing?
You would be like, yeah, we're at this Twilight house asleep in your bed, and Kevin's like, can I lay down too? No, you have to watch me as I sleep, Kevin.
Watching.
Shut up.
Watching.
All right, this is my thing. God damn it.
Yeah.
I give you 2 kids. You can let me do this. All right.
It's the least you could do.
He's like, I get that, but why am I in the pale face? I need to know that
Pale
much.
face.
God.
You know what's funny is Kevin does have vampire vibes. It's not from being pale, but like the brooding, quiet.
He was trying to do brooding in the car, and I told him like,
The nocturnal.
He's not nocturnal at all.
yeah, he was trying to brood at me in the car, and I told him like, dude, you're such a Mike Newton. Get over it.
God.
Oh, Dean.
I'm not a brooding kind of guy. I'm way too happy-go-lucky for that
Becky
shit.
hits you in the back of the head with a ball accidentally, and then you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm Dean. You're real pretty."
Uh,
Do
Want
you
to
like-
get married?
Do you like the accent I gave you?
You are so rude. I find you incredibly offensive to my people. But let's get back into it because you were saying something about how much you hated Twilight. Yeah, I can slide into this all day if I need to. I got some really southern family.
God.
I'm just like expecting you to bring me a pie right now, Dean.
Oh, bless her heart. I don't think I can do that.
Mercy.
All right, so Twilight.
Last thing. Why did they give Edward a Volvo? Why? Why did they give him a Volvo?
Yeah, he had a Volvo in the
the book?
Yeah.
What the frick?
Yeah.
You're like, he should be rolling up in a fucking like 67 Camaro.
No,
Yes.
and the
Model
prom
T.
scene and the epilogue
Why
with the
is he-
prom, he drives his Aston Martin to the prom.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why I thought, I'm like, why didn't they rent one for the prom scene?
Yes, but like, what the heck? Why is this school car a freaking Volvo?
That's
It's
how
like,
she wrote it.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know her.
It's so lame.
I mean, he's supposed to play lame high schooler. Also,
yeah, but
he
in
drives the
that
Volvo.
car,
He drives a Volvo, but doesn't like the rest of his family show up in like a big 4x4 Jeep?
Yeah, that's Emmett's.
yeah,
and then
Emmett's
Rosalie
literally
has the...
standing in it as he rolls up.
I saw that. I was curious as to what his
That's because
deal
that's what
was.
Catherine Hardwicke thinks, that like bad boy teenagers are like, yeah, I'm gonna stand in my Wrangler, like show up to school like
My
I own
4x4.
this place. Yeah, my like.
And then Rosalie has her red Mercedes Benz. That's in the book
I
too.
really don't like that Nikki Reed was Rosalie. I remember seeing her and I was like, that is not my Rosalie.
Yeah.
She's got the attitude, but like, again, talking about like bad wigs. Like,
yeah.
wowzer, it's horrible.
And that wasn't even a wig. They dyed her hair blonde.
That's a like.
It took like 36 hours for them to dye her brown hair to blonde hair.
Yeah, because it's super blonde.
Wow.
And then she
And
cut
then it
herself
all-
when she broke the bowl.
Oh,
Oh my
when
God.
she does the shatter bowl.
That's why
thing?
she has the gloves on. They did a take without the gloves on. She ended up cutting herself, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have to put you in gloves because we can't show this bandage."
This really.
Wait, why did
feels-
they actually make her break a bowl? They couldn't like.
Just to show how pissed she was.
I mean, it was honestly, it's probably a thing where it was like candy glass or something like that, where it's breakaway glass.
Yeah.
But it is a thing where that just there's so many things about the movie when you're watching it, you can tell there's not a lot of money in certain scenes that are going on. I mean, the other thing that like weirds me out about the production is it's so blue and green.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
think-
why does it look like that?
I mean, it kind of works for me. I needed.
It's
a
vibe.
I needed ambiance.
I didn't like it for a long time. I was like, the blue's bothering me. And then someone like enhanced the photos so it didn't have the blue tint. And I was like, oh no, it needs it. It like, this just looks too weird without the blue tint.
Without it, it starts to really look like a made-for-TV
Yeah.
Twilight
Yes,
movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
One more thing
actually,
about
that's
the-
something. This has a made-for-TV quality to it. I
Yeah.
think that's
Mhm.
what weirds me out about it.
Yeah.
Like the fighting effect. Like when he has Bella on his back and he's running up the mountain, and you
Yeah.
can so tell that it's Robert Pattinson just kind of waving his legs
Mhm.
on a wire work.
Yeah.
It has a vibe of like, this feels like it was a made-for-TV movie, or like an expensive made-for-TV movie,
Mhm.
but like it doesn't feel like a movie that should
A
cost
major
like
motion
a-
picture.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a major motion picture.
Yeah, it pains me deep inside. Kills me deep inside. One more thing about the Cullens. Like, did they forget how to be human? Like, they were human. And then they act like, do you think she eats Italian food? Well, her name is Bella. And then, like, she shows up and is like, I ate already. And then Rosalie breaks the bowl and she's like, oh, great. It's like, what the hell is the big deal? Just chill out.
Oh,
Like,
okay, I have another question. So they don't eat people food, right?
No.
Is that a thing where it's like it'll hurt them, or they're just like, it's not worth it? I'm like, even if I don't look, I'm just gonna say this. Even though I'm not hungry, I'm still gonna have a slice of pizza because I like the taste of pizza.
Well, that's in the book.
Is that a thing?
They're in the cafeteria and they're talking. This is when they're getting to know each other. Once she knows that he's a
he says
vampire.
it, like, tastes like dirt, or is that it?
That's part of it where she's talking about you really you don't eat anything, and he's like no. So she's like, so if I offered you a slice of pizza, you like physically can't do it. And he picks up the pizza, he eats it, and he swallows it. And she's just amazed. And he's like, well, if I asked you to eat dirt, couldn't you eat it? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And then in Midnight Sun, we get, his inner monologue. He's like, man, this is going to be a bitch having to regurgitate this piece of pizza later. So it's like, I guess he's got to cough it up. Like,
They
ew.
can't digest it.
That's why at the prom scene, when he's picking Bella up and he's sitting at the table with Charlie and he drinks the water and he's like trying to, get the water down, he's going to have to cough that up later.
It's like my digestive system.
It's so weird. So
Just
weird.
Can't process anything.
But yeah, I do get what you mean, because I don't know the context. I don't know who the youngest vampire is. If like, oh, when will you turn into a vampire? Oh, in the far off year of 1996.
It must be Jasper. He's the newest one, right?
He's the newest vegetarian, but he was turned in the Civil War. Alice, I don't remember when she was turned.
Yeah, then he would be older than Edward.
Yeah, because Edward is...
Edward is from the Edwardian era.
That's right.
You feel so good about that. Like, what the actual...
No, I just realized it. I was like, wait. Yeah, he's Edwardian. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. And Jasper's from the Jaspardian era.
Jaspardian. Yeah.
But yeah, so anything else for Twilight? Liked it, disliked it, cussing, discussing? Is it your favorite of the saga? Did it capture
Twilight's
everything about the movie?
my favorite book of the series.
Yeah.
Do the books get worse as they go on?
I didn't like I didn't like New Moon.
Yeah, New Moon just hurt. That was a hard one to read.
Eclipse.
Yeah, I liked Eclipse.
Breaking Dawn.
It was okay, and then you get hit with that curveball, and it's like, did we really need this? Did we really?
I can't wait to get to the curveball.
I wish Dean would read the books.
You're gonna have to. I'll let you borrow my books.
I'm not reading
Please.
fucking Twilight.
Do you know that my ex-boyfriend made me read... Okay, granted, they're graphic novels, but he made me read the entire Scott Pilgrim,
Oh,
saga
honey, I'm so...
before watching the movie.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I liked Scott Pilgrim because I, in high school and it's video games and all that stuff. Watching it now, I'm like, man, Scott's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
He is, an awful boyfriend.
Yeah.
Did your previous boyfriend, was he an awful boyfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some ways, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Really, really disliked
you can
David
see
Lynch
the
and his
maturity
conflict.
level. Yeah, no, he was totally Lynchian. Well, Lynchian. Yeah, he was kind of Lynchian, but he liked David Lynch.
I see.
Caused a lot of contention.
So, Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 out of 5. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not good throughout, but there's parts I liked, and the parts I liked apparently you fucking hated.
Yeah,
because it's different than the book.
I think I'm gonna give it a 4.
4 out of 5.
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It has its problems. I aired a lot of those problems, but soundtrack's there. Got Robert Pattinson.
It's
there.
entertaining.
It's entertaining.
You're firmly in the good category on this one.
Yeah, I'm in the good category. I mean, I also have a lot of history with it, so yeah, I'm willing to give it that extra star.
I see. But Yasmin over there, because you're going to be here for a lot more of these.
I'd give it a 3 because
Dean's correct about everything, and she wants to be correct like Dean.
I had such high expectations because I really enjoyed the book, and I was just sad. Mm-hmm. But it has its moments. It definitely has its moments. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of the first Twilight film. But we will be continuing on with the Twilight Saga next week with whatever the fuck the second movie is called.
New Moon.
Exactly.
New Moon.
New Moon. We'll be continuing on with New Moon next week. But if they wanted to listen to that episode, where can they go?
If you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and by the time this episode comes out, maybe we'll be caught up on YouTube?
We should be caught up on YouTube. You should actually be able to watch the YouTube versions of these simultaneously with the release of the audio versions. And you can find that on the Film Vault YouTube channel. Yeah, the YouTube channel on the Film Vault on YouTube. There you go. But if you want to follow us on social media, where can they go?
You could go to the Film Club Podcast on Instagram, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, and random adventures we go on.
But if you wanted to follow our guest, who is doing things not Twilight related,
she's not going to tell us where to follow.
Oh no, don't follow me.
Don't follow you.
Leave me alone, Edward.
Oh God.
Stop following me. No, I'm just here for Becky and Beans. Just here for the Twilight fun.
You mean Preacher Beans?
Pastor Beans, Preacher Beans.
And with that,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah.
Sandwiches?
Sandwiches for life.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.